Okay, so I'm going to talk about a solution to this Lab 5 that we just did, where I made you struggle a little bit with problem solving. And the question is, find the distance from the point 1120 to the line y equals negative 2/3 x plus 10. And I want to really emphasize the fact that, labeling everything's great and putting numbers on everything's great, but it's not going to help you necessarily know how to solve this algebraically. So I just labeled the point, looks like an H, but it's 1120. And I want the distance from this point to that line. Now there's a multitude of distances. Here's 3 different ones that I have that go from that point to the line. But the one you want, whenever we're in math and we say we want the distance, we're talking about the closest distance, and that means it has to be a right angle. So that's kind of the first key to this, is if this is a right angle, you know the slope of this line is a negative 2/3. So the slope of what I'm calling line 2 has to be the negative reciprocal, and that would be 3/2. So slope of 2 is 3/2. I have the point. I know that point's 1120. I use a point slope form, and I'm going to solve this for y. And I get y equals 3/2 x plus 7/2. So that's the equation of this line. So now we have the equation of this line, have the equation of this line. The goal is to find the distance from here to the line. Well, to do that, to use the distance formula, I have to have 2 points. So I need that point. I need this point of intersection. And the point of intersection is going to come from solving a system of equations made up of this one and the one you're given through substitution. So here I draw it out again. Lines, here's this line, here's that line. Now we need to find this point. Here's my system. So I'm going to set those equal to each other. And we haven't really talked about this in class, but I have a 3, I have a 2 in the denominator, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 6, and that will clear all my denominators. So if I multiply this side by 6 and this side by 6, I should end up with 9x plus 21, and that happens because when I do this, I can think 2 ways. 6 times 3 is 18, 18 divided by 2 is 9, 6 times 7 is 42, 42 divided by 2 is 21, or 2 goes into 6 3 times, so 3 times 3 is 9. That 2 goes into 6 3 times, 3 times 7 is 21. Over here, 3 goes into 6 2 times, 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. There's nothing under the 10 to divide into it, so 6 times 10 is 60. Then you solve this equation straight up. You get x equals 3. You plug it back into either equation. I picked this one because when I put a 3 in there, these 3's divide off, and I'll get 8. So now my other coordinate is 3, 8. I have my distance formula here. I plug my coordinates in. I remember the 1120 is coming from what you're given. The 3/8 what you were found. And I go through the distance formula, and I get the distance to be approximately 14.4 units. So I think it's important. The answer is great. I don't really care much about that. The process. I want the distance. That means I have to have a distance formula. That means I need 2 points. I have to get a point down here. I have to recognize the fact that the line that's going to be closest, that's going to give me my distance, has to be perpendicular. So I can get the equation of the perpendicular line. I can set up a system and solve that system to get the point. And then use the distance formula to get the actual distance. That's how I need you to think in here when you're problem solving, is what do I need? How am I going to do it? Because just, drawing the picture is important, but it won't necessarily tell you. And if I make this harder, which the next one will be, you're not going to be able to get it graphically at all. Okay, so keep practicing.